Hello everybody, I'm back once again, this time with Loli on the right side playing as the Deuxième Blindée, the French armored division, and we have Theoman playing as the Hermann-Göring division. Onto the left side, we're on Orsha West, or I forget the name of this map. I don't know any of the names of the maps. But we've seen this numerous times. This is like one of the 4 or 5 playable maps that on this game that are actually competitive, make for competitive games. So kind of get used. We're kind of gonna get used to all of these maps. But deciding to streamline things a bit, and we're going to go straight into the action. But let's just look at superficially the deployment. We have a couple flame inverters. M8, a bazooka, and let's see, some sappers, an artillery officer, and a 57 cannon, millimeter cannon deployed in this way. We have to the opposite end, we have a T-34, I believe a couple of HG Pioneers with the MP-44s, and a leader there. To the mid, we have, at least on the Laura Road, a couple of flame squads, voltigeurs, an M8, an M4A2, and a very early M4A2, what do you call it, OP, I forget what the OP stands for, but it's the off-map artillery. So going to be making a really early play for the mid with his forces there. Opposite of that, we have a Flammenwerfers, a Blindée Pioneer Squad or Grenadier Squad, 2 Panzergren squads, and a very early Sturmtiger. And finally to the north, or actually, and then we have, going to the north, we have an M8, a couple of flame squads, and more sappers, and then an M8, a 57 millimeter cannon, voltigeurs, and that's about it. Another voltigeur that I kind of missed in that click. But to the north, we have Flammenwerfers, Jagdpanzer, a T-34, and a Panzergren. So Theoman is going very light on the mobile on the AT. In fact, there is no AT whatsoever, and no infantry. None of his infantry are equipped with AT weaponry whatsoever, and going very light on the, or rather, lots of light infantry in the forms of the Flammenwerfers, and for Loli, kind of a mixture between light vehicles with some medium tanks and lighter infantry. So let's start immediately and get straight to the action. Let's look at the deployment from Theoman, going very aggressive in the middle, kind of standard on the bottom, and going with his Flammenwerfers to capture the compound to the north and to the mid-north. For Loli, we saw the bottom, but for the middle, we have, I believe, this voltigeurs and the flame squads going into the point there, 1 voltigeur there, and the rest of the vehicles behind them. And to the north, the flame squads going into the compound, some sappers unloading early and unloading before the city here, and the M8s providing some ground fire to the advancing German units. And lastly, we have some voltigeurs deployed here and a 57 millimeter cannon there. Theoman does get in all of his troops very early there, so really slow. I did not realize how slow these American says 70 kilometers an hour, so it's essentially like an M2 half track. Really slow, especially compared to the 90 kilometer an hour German Opel Blitzes. And we're going to see the first M8 go down, which is kind of lucky because, or rather, it's fortunate because he only has what they want Panzerschreck squad, and he really needs to get all of these kills. He does not know yet that there's a lot of vehicles coming in to the mid, so he has to make sure he gets his hits right with the Panzerschreck. To the bottom, Loli not really doing anything with his deployment here, just holding the point there, which is as good as he need because it seems like his main thrust is going to the middle. We're going to see a duel between a T-34 and an M8. This should be an easy peasy job for the T-34, but the M8 should have some chance of penetrating the frontal armor of the T-34, which I believe only has 90 or 75 millimeter frontal armor. This is the 90 millimeter frontal version. And with the off map, we see Loli rushing in his flamer squads and getting 2 surrenders. The Sturmtaker needs to start backing out, which Theoman has picked up on. But the good thing is that none of these voltigeurs have any mobile or have any AT capabilities, so it's up to the M4A02. And as long as he gets the micro good, or as long as he has good micro and shows the frontal armor, the Sherman has no chance. So that'll stall some time before Theoman can bring up something in the form of an AT gun or anything to really combat against an armored push in the middle. Theoman is kind of ambivalent towards approaching this little pocket of forces here, and even though he has the MP44 equipped Pioneer squads, it's looks like it's going to be very close, as those flame squads will interrupt them from deploying their TNT. But there goes the leader unit down, and that will significantly hamper the French troops here. But again, the TNT goes off as the Glide Pioneers were moving forward because of the flamer squads. So they always be very, very careful with the combination of flamethrowers and TNT, as that will guaranteed shut down any infantry advance, including the most, even some of the most elite infantry in the game. We have a very, very aggressive M4A2 going into the crossroads. It's going to get picked off by the Ju-87 if it's not pushed back, but down it goes. And Loli has to start thinking about light AA, as this is a sign of things to come if he's not diligent with his anti-aircraft. Because here comes another one, another Ju-87, although I don't know what it's going to be targeting. It looks like it has sight on the OP there. In the north, we see a duel between the flamer squads, and this should tip in Theoman's favor, just because of the Panzergrens can engage at long distance with the flamer squads revealing it. But we still have this M10 here, and the T-34 that was once here did go down, presumably to the M10. And I'm kind of shocked that we don't see any light AT from Theoman, because that's really holding him back here. Or it's definitely been holding him back in the mid, as Loli has just been having free roam across this open field even, that could have been shut down by a single Pack 38 or a Pack 40 or 2 of them. I have not taken a look at the decks involved, as I'm trying to streamline things, but it seems to be that he's relying on the Jagdpanzers to really do the AT work there. And we have just a humongous armored push. No infantry really making it to the front line, and in fact, even one infantry unit goes down. So Loli, although he's picking up a lot of ground, he should be careful of any infantry. But it seems like because of the retreating front line, it's safe to say there's nothing left in this city for Loli to be worried about, at least in the form of AT. And these Panzerschreck squads, they are good, but they have a slow rate of fire, and they're super vulnerable, and I don't see how... well, he does have an 88 here. I'm not sure why he deployed it here. He definitely did not see any AA or he did not see any air from Loli, so I'm not sure why he's deploying it in a defensive position as an anti-air unit. But at the very least, it's going to pick up some kills here, presumably. Or rather not, but at the very least, with its deployment there, it's going to slow down Loli's advance while Theoman thinks about taking back the south with some more elite Glide Grenadiers. But the TNT really doing a number on them. But as soon as the TNT is out, these are just regular basic troops, and this whole flank should go down to these two Big Light Pioneer or Big Light Grenadiers. And the marauding SDKFZ is going to get surrounded here, very boldly holding up the front line just to buy some time, at least in the form of tickets. Loli could even start penetrating here. The fact that his M8 has been here the entire time and has not received any AT fire or any fire whatsoever means that there is literally nothing going to be firing on any units approaching the campus there. So that could be a free point there. And even here, it looks like he's setting up for another attack with some more M4A2s, some more Voltigeurs, and towards the mid, the Panzer, what is it called? The Panzerschreck is going to go down. And this is a really bad situation for Theoman, as he has no foothold onto this plateau. With the only grip that he really has on the plateau is from the south, and it's going to be a while to affect the forces here if he starts bringing on things from the south up. But in the meantime, Loli is still thinking offensively and is going to be probing to the south, and that's the correct move to do when you have this pocket of infantry and it's completely surrounded to the north. Speaking of advances, we have the Shermans coming up, but they are going to get sniped by the Jagdpanzer if they do not move back. But at the very least, they're going to get rid of that Flammenwerfer, and without that, there is no, or actually, there was never any line of sight to the Shermans, so it's never mind. So right now, we are at a 16-8 advantage, and wow, this is not looking good for Theoman. He does, yeah. I mean, it seems like he's really suffering from a or what do you call it? A battle group designing standpoint. He has the Ju-87s at the very least. That is kind of bailing him out on the anti-tank battle, but it's not the solution you can refer to all the time, as it's going to get picked off right here, and kind of the limitation. That's kind of the limitation of air-based anti-tank, is that as soon as especially for the Ju-87, it's just so slow, and it's not going to be a permanent solution. And Theoman has been losing out pretty much every tank battle, or at least every major influential tank battle, as he, at the very least, gets rid of the M8 there. But he has been having no luck this game. We have a transmission destroyed from the M4A2, and we have, or perhaps it was the M10A1, which I believe, oh, these ones don't have the APCR, so these are not the cool ones. But I think this should be a snipe from the M10. We get incendiary, and the rate of fire is going to benefit the M10 for sure. We have a status quo from in the north, and we see some Panzer IVs being deployed. Really, yeah, there is no light AT for Theoman, and that is a really big mistake. He cannot cover any open ground, especially, and well, sorry, he does not have anything to really prevent advances in the open ground, such as in the north, across that field here, across here, and for what he does, what he's choosing to use as a counter is too easily outmatched, just because the Panzer IV is just has a pathetic armor layout. It's even though you can micro it at long range to help win battles, even a M4, a shot from an M4 has quite the chance to penetrate it at medium to long distances. So I don't know if that was the yeah, it's not looking very good, and I think it was mostly the decision to not take any AT guns, and it doesn't seem like he has the volume of infantry to really combat the buildup of infantry, French infantry here. And the Sturmtiger has not been used terribly much so far, as that would be a really great tool for dislodging the French stronghold, or French foothold on the point here, especially here. But it looks like Theoman finally is going to be putting to good use the Sturmtiger and pins down the entire front force, and he just needs to bring in some squad to get the surrenders. Loli does have the bazooka here, and if he is smart, if he is aware enough, he can pick up the very easy side shot onto the Sturmtiger. What a cool unit. Although it's circling back and showing its very, very vulnerable back armor. And we have some P-38Js coming in and providing some anti-infantry support. So there goes at least one squad went down of the there was like 2, 3, 4, like maybe 4 of them, and that push was reduced to just one squad. Although the Sturmtiger now is starting to rack up some kills there. I'm not sure what, and Theoman does seem to have some infantry kind of out in the middle, not really doing anything. We have an 88mm kind of, well, not deployed yet. It could be, if he really wanted to, as opposed to the Panzer IVs, he could deploy it here, and you get a very nice view of the small campus here, and that would help him get at least that one point here. The south looking very, very bad, as no infantry was brought up to the south to reinforce. I'm not sure why. Well, I'm sure. I guess he was kind of there were some units, some anti. What do you call? There were some M8s and maybe like an M4A2, I believe, on the south here, preventing these from fully reinforcing here. So I guess that's why he unloaded so early. But at least, for example, this HD Pioneer needs to get moving, and we finally see some Panzergren with Fausts heading to the south, but it's a little bit too late now, and it's starting to look a bit too late for really any Theoman, any kind of offensive from Theoman, as he only has 5 minutes to capture back 4 points to get back to 12-12. At the very least, he's doing a good job of whittling down the French units here, the infantry units, and even picking up the tank kills with the Sturmtiger. Although it's starting to run out of munitions. And to the south, in a fight between voltigeurs or sappers and voltigeurs and Panzergren Fausts, I have not played with the French enough to know the likelihood of winning that battle. But M1 Grands are M1 Grands, and no matter how many LMGs we have, that's going to be a tough fight, especially with TNT. So I'm not expecting much from this German advance. No light vehicles from Theoman. I don't remember. I'll have to take a look back on the HG deck, but I believe they do have some selection of 20mm autocannons, or at least some form of light vehicles, but he's certainly missing out on them. Using the T-34s are not really great anti-infantry tools. They're very cheap, and they're really good at their cost, but relying them solely for support especially when you have a lot of different alternatives. Not a great choice, I guess. But I could be wrong. I don't remember too much, even my own deck for the HG division. But I'll take a look. But I'm pretty sure there must be at least some sort of light vehicles. But because he's taking the full brunt of the infantry battle, his infantry is taking the full brunt of the infantry battle, and it's not without any support from anything. I mean, even like a mortar or some RT, it really would help. And a tiger goes down. I believe that was a B phase card of tigers, so there's only 2 of them that he gets, and one of them goes down to the 2 bazooka squads. I guess Theoman's first bet is to take this 1 point here. That one's the easiest to get, I guess. This one should have been easier to take out, especially with this Stormtaker. But he doesn't have any. He just has nothing to do. He has nothing to counter with these M4A3s that are just. Well, at the very least, it's the Stormtaker. I have not seen it. I have not seen the Stormtaker get that many one-off kills with against tanks. Ooh, and it takes a hit from, or rather, it was a miss from the bazooka squad, and that one's dead. Yeah, the Stormtaker has been actually taking out those tanks very well. It's just not ideal, and then it doesn't have any MG34 bullets left, so it can't even provide support to the infantry. And if not these points here, at the very least try to make a play perhaps on the city there. Just something that's not being completely swarmed with vehicles. But Theoman finally has made it back into the city. And what's more, Loli doesn't have any infantry here. So great job with the Stormtaker taking out pretty much everything from nearly everything on the in the city. The south is not looking too great, and the lack of the AT. Where's any AT? I don't see any AT guns, and without an AT gun here, this is completely open for Loli to funnel some very upvetted and very deadly M4s into the south. And Flak 88 not really doing anything. This Flak 88 certainly isn't doing anything, and there haven't been enough airplanes to really purchase these Flak 88s just specifically for the anti-air, and not really deployed in advantageous spots. Like if you place that here, you still get at least a kind of a bit of a view into the city. But the Ju-87s, when they're not being shut down, and when they're not being... Wow, this might get out. Will it get out? I'm not sure it goes out here. Yeah. I mean, every one of his uses of the Ju-87 has resulted in a death, except from like the first 1 or 2. So these are not this is not a stable solution, certainly. At the very least, we're at a 14-10, but Theoman has a 1-minute window to climb back to 12-12, and it will be a really precarious. It will be really precarious to. He'll be stuck in a very precarious situation of making sure to never lose a point. Or rather, not losing any disadvantage whatsoever in the next. If he wants to win, he can't let Loli gain a flag advantage at all, because he only has 28 seconds worth of points with the 1 flag advantage left. I'm not seeing how Theoman can possibly win this game. Not with this little points and without some really decisive offensive actions anywhere. As there's only infantry in this area and the Sturmtiger, which is not going to be enough. And we're going to see one flag go to Loli, and this Sturmtiger is not going to make it in time there, and we're going to get a very, very short game, 22 minutes, and actually a fairly competent kill-death ratio between the two of them. And in fact, Theoman was the one who killed the most out of the two, probably because his Ju-87s were able to get quite a lot of kills. It's just that he was not able to preserve them, and it was not. He was still losing on the infantry battle. If we look at the kill-death ratio, the opening artillery barrage was devastating just in terms of the sway in the battle. The fact that this one artillery barrage probably was the decisive factor in Loli gaining the entire plateau. Some great kills from the M8s. The north one didn't really do too much. The Bofors gets 3 Ju-87 kills, and I think that was like literally the only anti-air unit there, with the exception of like a 50 cal gun from one of the half tracks. And that's kind of the notable bits from the French side. As for losses, the Sturmtiger really did get its money's worth. It just didn't have anything else to really share the workload. So it gets a couple of infantry. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 infantry squads, a 76 Sherman, an M10, and an M8. It's pretty great. We have 3 kills, tank kills from the Ju-87, one of which was the off map. The Flak 88 was able to deter the southern push, I believe. This is the one from the south. I think getting the kills on the French tanks on the southern side of the plateau. Blindée picking up a lot of kills there. So actually, Theoman really did get a lot of. We can plainly see he's had a lot of efficiency in his units, but in terms of the selection, perhaps that was the downfall, especially on this map where it's a really kind of a defensive game, at least for the mid and the south of the map. And I guess that's about as much as I can really analyze from this game. This was a short video, and hopefully, well, I wonder if, I don't know how many people are watching the almost hour-long videos, so if you like this style of really fast-paced introductions and very to-the-point casting, then please let me know.